Welcome to another episode of The Pipeline. My name is Carlos Concepcion, and I'm the Chief Sales Officer at IDX Boost. And today, I have a very special guest coming to the show. His name is David Siddons. He's the owner and president of the David Siddons Group, a top real estate team in South Florida. And he needs no introduction. He's on a level of his own. And like he liked to say, he's a forever child and student of the real estate industry. Accidentally, I call him a host, but welcome our next guest, David Siddons. It's very nice to have you here. Welcome, David.
So firstly, Carlos, thank you for the introduction. I love the fact that you call me the host. I don't know where this is going, but thank you. So look, we've known each other for a long time. Obviously, known Trem for a really long time. Don't want to show my age in the business, but it's been a decade or more probably. So I am, I guess my title is president of David Siddons Group. I run the real estate team here in South Florida that covers Miami and Broward. And we were talking what you would call me. Obviously my official title is president, but I feel more like a child of real estate, an ever evolving, ever learning person trying to understand the needs and the wants of the business better. And I guess that's something that we'll go into during this conversation. But yeah, that's me. I set my team up back in 2010. Started. I think most people know me now for my videos, reports, articles, just general real estate content. We always say we're trying to educate people in the business, not just give information, but really educate. And so I started doing articles back in 2010, 2011, started doing blogs shortly after. It was one of the earlier producers of content in the real estate space with videos. And then as it progressed, it developed into softwares as well. So now it's a combination of articles, videos, reports, and softwares. And that's it. And we have a team now of 11 people.
That's amazing, David. And you will be surprised, and I was telling you this before we jump in camera, but you will be surprised how many agents come through our offices every day and say, hey, I want to be like him. I want to do what David is doing. Whatever he's doing, we want to know. And, everything that you mentioned that you've done through the years, I'm assuming it has, a mission. So for those who are watching, what has been the mission behind the David Siddons Group? And why were you the first child and adventure into this for the real estate industry?
So my mission started honestly out of pure frustration. And the more it went on, the more I understood why I was doing what I was doing. I was really driven with a cause and a direction in the business. So the frustration was the lack of information out there. And I started this because I was trying to give clearer optics into the business. And I think it started when there was an article, a video that I think one of the first video produced off the back of a report. I talked about the fact that so much of the data that was being put out, so many of the reports that were being produced were not being produced by people actually selling real estate. They were produced by analysts. And I think that's probably true still today in many cases. There's a lot of production of numbers, a lot of productions of data, a lot of stuff that just goes out there, but it's not really actionable. So I built something out of pure frustration, which was how can I give better education by writing reports? And I started to build social narrative. Those who now follow me today think that a lot of the stuff that goes on is information designed to, educate, but a lot of it is really me just trying to go down a rabbit hole and figure out what these things mean. I'm exploring, I'm learning at the same speed as I'm educating. And this is a really very key part of my journey that now I'm trying to evolve. I'm trying to go to the position where I'm like, I don't have all the answers because they change every day. Human behavior changes all the time. And we're trying to move sideways into the market and lean into it to understand why are people doing what they're doing and what are they going to do next? And what's the market going to do next? So I guess it's a process of learning, of education, creating reports, moving forward. And that's what you guys help me with. You help me verbalize the the inner processes that we've got. And doing videos like this, which is really a first for me, is a lot less curated, shall we say, than typical videos that you see. It was one of the things that I realized: the authenticity, the vulnerability of ourselves as marketeers has to come out. You can't profess to have all the answers, but you're just trying to go down that voyage of discovery with your readers, with your watchers, with your clients, to figure out the best answers, the best solutions, and help people make the best possible decisions.
After all, I think that is ultimately providing value, and that's one of the things that you know how to do very well. These all the content that you produce is intended with providing value to make your clients make more educated, decisions. Of course. Now, as a team leader, as a business owner, what are the current challenges that you see on the market?
So we're sitting in May 2022, and I think one of the biggest challenges in real estate right now in Miami is that we have a lot of people wanting to move in to Miami-Dade and into Broward, and we have a lot of sellers who don't want to move out. So it's kind of like, it feels like a freeway with cars coming in and no one's leaving. So if you've ever experienced that, it's fast moving traffic becomes slow moving traffic, becomes a traffic jam, becomes a pileup. And that's how it feels, just a pileup of buyers coming in. And the conversations that I'm having right now more than ever is with sellers to say, if you're going to sell, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Because for the most part, it causes people a problem, not a solution. They're like, okay, so I sell, but now I'm going to have to buy something else. I'm very likely going to pay higher taxes, higher property taxes, and then I'm going to sell at a great margin, a great profit, but then I'm going to sell high and I'm going to have to buy high because I have no intention of leaving. So the key now, I think the challenge for most of us as professionals is you've got to provide a solution to that problem before you start getting into the let's list your home and sell it. Buyers, in truth, really aren't the issue. I mean, I think most agents I know have plenty of buyers, people calling every single day saying, I want to buy real estate. The challenge is finding the real estate. And I think as we're down to like a month and a half of inventory in most neighborhoods, the problem then becomes of how do I find the right property? And if I do find the right property, how do I not overpay? How do I not get into what we call rich people's fight club environment, where we're just bidding against other human beings and then we're paying outside and above the market? And that is a real concern. And as we see Fed rates increase now, we see interest rates going up. A lot of the market is reacting to what they see in the stock market, to what they see globally. There's a lot of concerns over what we see worldwide, and fragility. There's maybe some cracks in the system that people think, how do I still feel bullish? How do I pay such a high premium for real estate in what is now feels like a peak, and is a peak in many cases? How do I not overpay and suddenly go, oh, now the market's corrected and I overpaid and I spent too much more than I should? How do we handle those? And at the same time, how do we also educate and realize that we had people last year and the year before who said, this market's a little crazy. I don't want to take part in this game. I'm going to wait. And guess what happened? The market went up. And they lost out, and now they're priced out of the market. So on one side, there's a fear of losing out, which is a normal human fear. And on the other side, there's the fear of paying at a peak and overpaying. And that's the buying psychology. And then the selling psychology is, if I sell, where do I go? What's my next move? How do I make a smart decision? Because if I've made all this money when I sell, I don't want to just lose that advantage by just buying the next thing out there. Or even worse, just straight up being kind of without a home to move into, and then getting caught in the rental trap. So it's quite an emotional time. And I think that the human emotion side of this is something that we probably don't talk about a lot. I don't think it's often discussed. I think the empathy in the industry is often overshadowed by the glossiness that exists within the industry. We were talking about this off camera when we were looking at, all the shows that come out. There's like the Selling Sunset show. And there was even an episode, I don't know if you even saw this, but one of my friends brought this to my attention, there was an episode of South Park that came out recently. Did you see that? Did you hear
I
about
heard about it. I heard so
that?
much
Okay.
about it. I haven't watched it myself.
That is very funny, but weirdly, really on point. So I don't know who wrote the script for that particular episode, but they absolutely nailed it. And if you don't know, it's essentially a story where South Park, which is a small, somewhat urban / rural, is a rural town outside of Denver, fictional town, and obviously the characters. There's the main character protagonist, which is Eric Cartman, who's this foul-mouthed little boy who has a terrible attitude and is just awful to his mum. And anyway, long story short, he becomes a realtor because he says it's the easiest job in the world. It's essentially legal theft. So he goes out there and he starts selling houses to all the people from the city who come in to move into South Park, and jacks prices up and all the town folk go crazy and hysterical. And of course, he produces a video about selling real estate, and of course nails it and outdoes all the competition because they're just using their photo of themselves, and he's creating video. And it's very funny because the psychology of what he plays to is, I just want to make money. I want to take these stupid suckers and I want to make money off them and I want to get rich. And I think that, interestingly enough, the irony of it is that when you watch a lot of these shows, it's all about me, 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 me. The agent trying to become wealthy off the back of everyone else, not really motivated by what the client needs or wants. It's all very self-absorbed. And I think when we talk, our conversations tend to be with Trem and what we're trying to do. We're trying to be putting the client, being customer-centric focused, which again is, I
I
think
think that pretty much everything that we do is to get to the bottom of it and connecting human to human. And I think that the best way of doing that is by providing authentic, organic value through the content that you create that is there
yeah,
to support your clients and your partners in their decision making. Which, going back to it, I do see everything that you mentioned throughout the nation with other markets that we see where the market is exactly as you described. The inventory and the market is exactly like you mentioned for sellers and buyers. So it doesn't come as a surprise. But I want to ask you something, David. For those agents who are just starting their businesses, who are maybe just starting their careers, who are looking for ways to differentiate the noise and everything that is out there for the industry, and instead of being egocentric, go more about client centric. What would you recommend to them? What would be the best practices for you as a business owners for them to grow and increase their sales and maybe get higher financial returns year over year as an agent? What's your point
I,
on that?
I think that when you become client focused, and I know it sounds like a very easy thing to say, but it's still not done properly, I believe. When you really think and closely figure out the markets of whatever market you're going to sell, really think about what people need. Really try to figure out what people want and need and try to provide that to that client base. Try to provide the education, the information to them. Do not try to take without giving. Do not even try to take, just give. I think if you start to openly give that information and you're trying to add value, I mean, our business slogan, which I lean into all the time, every single day, is help clients make a better decision, and do what they can't. And that it came up as like a strap line. I think we did it for a video once, and it just came into my head. But the more I keep going back to it, it keeps me true. And I think it's very important to stay true in the industry, stay true to why you're doing this. I think the cause of everything is that there's a point where if you look at the top producers, you don't get up in the morning because you're like, I want to sell a house and I want to make my bank account bigger. That is not going to work. That's not going to provide a lot of satisfaction. It's going to feel very empty. the transparency is going to be seen through very, very quickly. I think the more energy you put into adding value to your client relationships, to the people that you're helping, and really take time to listen to what your clients tell you that they need. Often they can be screaming messages, this is what I need. Stop telling me I need to sell my house. I'm telling you, this is what I need. The more you do that, the more you lean into that, I think that's when you start to get the returns and the rewards that you're going to get. It's a human business, and I find, and we both are ironically sitting here talking on a podcast using technology to communicate what is a very human message. I think all too often we tend to look at technology and softwares and digital marketing as a automatic, if I just do it this way, it's going to work. Behind everything, behind your business, my business, are human beings with needs. And I think that the more you can recognize that and figure out how to satisfy those needs, the better you're going to be. There's no shortcut. We live in a world of like, take the diet pill and get slim, do this, adopt this software and become a millionaire,
The easy
invest
way.
in that. It's like overnight success.
Overnight success.
Overnight success. There's no such thing as overnight success.
David,
It for anybody.
to a lot of our clients that come through still, I still show and go back to one of your initial videos where you're in camera, you're like, do what nobody else can. You should go out there and find the information for them, and you should be doing what nobody else is doing for your clients. And it always takes me back to the fact that you were doing it was nobody else was. You weren't waiting for it to be perfect, but you wanted it to be there for those who were looking for that information, which ultimately makes you very valuable, because again, there is nobody like you out there doing what you do. And I think there is a lot of merit in that. I just want to bring that up because I still see you today at the forefront of the industry, at the forefront of the technology, and pushing forward just to get better and better at the services that you provide for your clients. So I want to thank you for being here today. It's been an honor for me, and I hope that you come back soon. It's always a pleasure to have you, David. Anything that we may have missed out?
As you're talking, the thing that keeps reminding me, and that we both do, is that you've got to fall in love with the process. You've got to fall in love with it. You can't do it for what it's going to give you. And I think that when you get involved with it, and you're doing it for the purity of trying to learn and become better as professionals, as people, it's much easier to do that. I always equate it to like getting and going and exercising. If you go to the gym because you just want to get a six pack, guess what? You are never, ever going to get there. And if you get there, you're not going to stay there. You've got to fall in love with the creative process of what you're doing. I get a chance. The reason I wanted to do this podcast with you is because I'm setting up my own podcast and my own show, and I'm trying to learn. And when I find something new, like, we're all kids, we're all, children of our industry. We're all just learning. And the fun thing is, if you ever watch a bunch of kids in a playground together, 5-6 years old, they're all figuring stuff out, and they're all having fun doing it. And they're really in the moment. And I think for me, this exchange, this process for us is what makes the business, and that's what makes life so enjoyable. And I think that that's what propels people up the level of success, because they're not trying to be successful. They're just trying to do what they really, really enjoy doing. And it's a lovely byproduct. It's a very lovely byproduct. And I commend Trem, because you guys are always the eternal children, the eternal students. You're always trying to find a new way to fix an ever-changing human state and human problems and needs and wants. So, Carlos, thank you. I love doing this, and let's do it again.
Let's do it again, David. Thank you so much for your time. I know you made our team very emotional over here, so it's always a pleasure for us to have you, and feel free to join us anytime. Thank you for your time again, and talk to you soon.